episode of Cosmic Conversations. I am your hostess, Marla Martinson, and today I'm with Kamla K. Kapur, who is a critically acclaimed author, playwright, and poet. Her many books reimagine myths and stories from the various traditions of the East. She's received a numerous amount of awards for her work and spent 15 years on the faculty of Grossmont College, San Diego, teaching composition, literature, creative writing, mythology, and Shakespeare. She now divides her time living in the remote Kulu Valley of the Indian Himalayas and in Southern California with her husband, Payson R. Stevens. And you will find her at kamlakapur.com. And we're going to talk about her amazing, beautiful new book, Rumi Tales of the Spirit. Welcome to the show, Kamla.
Thank you, Marla. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Oh, this is great. I'm just so enjoying this gorgeous book, and the cover is just, it has a little bit of texture to it, and it's just a work of art in itself. So congratulations.
You know, my publisher, Mandala, does just excellent design, and I'm very pleased that they have designed all my other books as well. They're really masters at it. So
that's beautiful. So this book is you've kind of done some of Rumi's stories for the modern age, but for people who don't know who Rumi is, give us a little background on this amazing mystic poet.
Yes, you know, Rumi, I'm fond of saying Rumi is a futurist from 800 years ago.
Right.
And what I mean by that is that all our guides who have guided us for thousands of years continue to guide us today. A little bit about Rumi. He was born in the 13th century in what is now called Persia. And he was born into the Islamic tradition, though he founded the order of the Sufis, which is a mystical branch of Islam, just like the Gnostic Gospels or the mystical aspect of Christianity. So he was born into a noble family. He studied jurisprudence. He was a scholar. He was very educated and erudite. And he would have continued on that path if he hadn't, except for a chance encounter with a fellow called a guide, an enlightened wandering Sufi mystic called Shams. That's a shortened form of his full name, Shamsuddin. And he was totally taken by him and awestruck by him, and they struck up a friendship which was very intense, just full of love. But only about 6 years after they met, Shams died, and people say that he was killed. Some people even suggest that he was killed by Rumi's sons because everybody was so jealous of the intensity and the passion of their relationship. And it's not known whether it was a physical relationship or a metaphysical relationship. And ultimately, it doesn't matter because, as Rumi himself says, love is on a continuum. You know, it spans our love for animals, nature, people, and God. So it's all one big love. And so what happened after Shams died is that Shams delivered a huge wound to Rumi. And the result of the wound was that Rumi started writing poetry. It just started pouring out of him. And because he had learned love with Shamsuddin, he now turned towards the largest source that we can turn to, love for the divine. And he had learned love in the human field, and now he was expressing it in the divine. And he wrote in Persian, he wrote 6 huge volumes called the Masnavi. And I have gleaned and culled these stories from his 6 volumes, which are very thick and very difficult to plow through. Right. But I fell in love with him, and wanted to do this, and I didn't have a choice. I wanted to tell her stories because, the world has heard so much about Rumi's poetry, but not many people know that he's a storyteller as well. He's a great, great storyteller. So I wanted to bring that Rumi to the foreground. So I've written this is my second book on Rumi, and the first one, Rumi's Tales from the Silk Road, were just, there were 30 stories, but this book is 12 stories, each of which are followed by commentaries by me so that the reader can see the relevance of Rumi's story, which I put in a modern idiom and in old wine and new bottles sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I've written these commentaries to show the readers how these stories apply to our daily lives. I mean, it's like I said, our guides continue to guide us, and we just have to take the trouble to listen to them and to follow them and to realize that we have a huge source of wisdom and guidance that's coming at us from every tradition. Every tradition has this wealth of information and wisdom. In fact, this is this Rumi book is a third from 3 different traditions. I wrote a book from the Hindu tradition called Ganesha Goes to Lunch. Then I wrote another one from Rumi, and then I wrote one from the Sikh tradition. I was born into a Sikh family in India, so I've written 2 books on the Sikh tradition, and then I've written another one on Rumi, because I feel that, the roots of all religion, all spiritual traditions are intertwined and cannot be teased apart. Our roots are the same, and that it's such a pity that we are so fragmented today, and we've forgotten this essential truth that we are all essentially one.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was 1935. The Shah changed it to Iran, the name Iran from Persia.
That's right.
Bring
That's
it
exactly
forward.
Right.
I lived in Tehran in 1978 for a little while.
Really?
My father was working there. Yes, so I love the Persian poets and the language and all of that culture. So I'm a big fan of Rumi too. Although I need to dig into it. I'm really happy to have this book. Now, did you dive in the ancient Persian language? Did you learn that, or did you do it from English?
I didn't. I picked up Reynolds' translation of the Matnavi, which is in 6 volumes. He's an excellent translator. I couldn't have wished for more. The only thing I could have wished for was that I knew Persian, which I don't know, because Persian is actually very much, until recently, a part of Indian culture, which is my culture.
Right? They would say the Parsi.
Pakistan, exactly. Pakistan and India were one once, and Rumi is very widely quoted in Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, throughout Egypt, throughout the Midwest, Mideast, and he's very well known. And of course now he's very well known in the West as well.
I know.
Were you there when the revolution took
place? Yes, I was there. We were there when the Shah was there, and then the revolution started, and then it was Yankee go home, so we had to leave. And it was at 16 years old, I was there and in high school, and seeing the tanks in the street and martial law and hearing the shots at night. But when we first got there, the first few months, Iran is a fabulous country. Tehran is an amazing place. The people, I was teaching English. I was in school. And just the people are so warm, and I made wonderful friends. And I was just, it was really a thrill of a lifetime to be able to experience that. And I wish I could go back one day. I hope so. I hope things, maybe governmental change at some point. It's been 40 years now, so we'll see what happens.
It's such a pity. It's such a pity that, we've disinherited ourselves from these wonderfully rich cultures of the world. And Iran is so, so rich. in terms of its poetry, in terms of its crafts and arts and literature. It's in its language. It's such a beautiful language.
So beautiful.
Yes, so it's
and it seems like Rumi is more popular today than ever. I mean, like you said, and I see people quoting him all the time on things.
Bill Moyers called him one of the most popular contemporary poets of America, actually. Because he's so widely quoted. It's mostly it's his poetry that's quoted. And it's very rich. His poetry is tremendously rich.
What's his main message, Kamla? What would you say Rumi's main message is?
Well, I had divided, the main message of any message is always love.
Yeah.
And then I'll come to his other messages. Okay. Love of everything that you encounter in your life, including yourself. I mean, that has to be quite fundamental. And why do you have to love yourself? Because the message is very clear that you are a part of God. Right. You contain the divine. It's like Rumi says, you're not a drop of ocean. You are the ocean.
Yes, yeah.
There is tremendous self-esteem, self-affirmation, consequent upon the knowledge that the divine is within you, in you, around you, and in everyone and everything that you encounter, whether animate or inanimate. Animals, people, creatures, trees, everything.
Yes.
Everything is alive. I would say that is his main message. Now, my first book on Rumi, I had divided into 6 different chapters. Like, I'm not sure I'm going to be remembering all 6. Well, one of them was pray. And what is prayer after all? Prayer is our dialogue and our communication with that which is the highest in us. That is prayer. And then another thing that he says is trust spiritual guides.
Yeah, okay.
And he has a wonderful metaphor. He says, I took the saints' words and put them in my ear like a earring.
Oh, beautiful, yeah.
To listen and to own it. So that's one of his second messages, which is, trust spiritual guides. I tend to trust the dead ones because they're time-tested. And there's been so much, talk lately of we don't know how many gurus in our times are really will stand the test of time. So, and then there's the third thing he says is be content. What does contentment mean? Yeah. It doesn't mean that you stop striving for more. It doesn't mean that you become complacent. It means that you are content at that point of speaking now of everything that you have and everything that you've been given, and to give gratitude for it, because gratitude is another very important message of Rumi. And, he tells wonderful stories about gratitude and how we are. A feast was coming down from heaven, and we interrupt the feast by saying, where's the garlic? Where are the pickles?
Right.
We've got a feast in front of us, but we're complaining about these little things.
Yes.
Why didn't I get that? Or why isn't so-and-so conforming to my expectations of him or her?
Right.
Why don't I have my money? Why don't I have a better house? It's all this discontent and all this lack of gratitude. And then he's got wonderful other messages, and I want to mention the most important of them, and he says, surrender to the cosmic will. And what is surrender and what is the cosmic will? Yeah. Now, the cosmic will is that which is, that which you cannot change by all your striving and all your efforts. It's for example, it's a cosmic will that I look like this. Yeah. It's a cosmic will that I was born into, the culture that I was born into. It's a cosmic will that I have attained this amount of success in my lifetime up until this point, you know, or that I have this much love in it, or I have this kind of a partner. That which you cannot change, and which you cannot, with all your efforts, change. It's like the serenity prayer, if you're familiar with it.
Right.
You know, God, give me the courage to change the things I can, the wisdom, the courage to accept the things I cannot, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Right.
So that which you cannot change, you have to surrender.
Right. Yes.
You know?
That's beautiful.
And by surrendering it, you are becoming a part of that which you surrender to. Yeah. You realize it's like realizing that nothing is yours.
Right.
Nothing really is yours. You know, we were born.
Alone.
we were born. We didn't say we wanted to be here, but we were born, and we were born with a certain temperament and to a certain family, you know, and we have an inner core that continues to be the same from the moment we were born to the moment we die, although there's so many things about us that change,
right,
and that we can change, you know. We must change.
Yeah. And some people will say that spiritual teachers and stuff, that we do pick our parents and we do decide to come into this life, but then we forget at birth, so we don't know. And it feels weird sometimes when we're struggling or something, we're like, I don't remember picking this, but I guess we pick these experiences that we need to go through to learn through life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, there's almost all the guides say that there is a design here. There is a pattern to our lives, you know. And if you really look within yourself, which is what we're here to do, you see that pattern quite clearly.
Yes.
If you look back in your life, you see that pattern. You have to trust that there is a meaning to your life, you know, that there is a purpose to your life, and that we did, in some other dimension, choose to be here. I mean, life is an invaluable gift.
Right. And in our Western culture, it's like if you don't have, like you were talking about, a certain size house or money or success or car or something, that's how people are like. But then you see the people with the most basic things around them, but they're so happy, and really it's like you're really free because you don't have to upkeep everything and keep up with the Joneses. It seems like you could just really relax. So you know, I think
absolutely. You know, this is what the Eastern Indians call Maya, or the illusion. The illusion of existence, in which we're chasing shadows. Rumi himself says, you know, you're chasing a shadow in the sky and you're missing the substance of that shadow. You know, go from the shadow, he says, gain a sun.
Oh, beautiful. That reminds me, I just got the image of how people are always now filming everything with their phones. They go to an event, but they're filming it the whole time, so they're not really in the, you know, enjoying the event. It's like they could look at it on their phone later, but they're missing a lot of it by filming.
They're present. They're not
present. Not being present. Being present. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And we've done that with our whole life. You know, we are so busy on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is, but you know, whatever it is that we do, we don't give ourselves leisure. I think that's one of our greatest, because we're all so compelled to succeed in whatever realm that we want to succeed in. We all want to be stars.
Yeah, right.
But you know the true definition of a star is somebody who reflects God's light.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's a tweetable. I'm going to tweet that one. The definition of a star is someone who reflects God's light. Oh, that's beautiful. Is that a Rumi quote or is that a Kamla?
No, that's me.
All right.
You know, but what does it mean to be a star? Mm-hmm. You know, we have such a small little definition of a star. Somebody who's on the internet a lot, or somebody who's face is very visible. Somebody who looks very beautiful, or falls into the traditional model of beauty. And we're into appearances, and Rumi really. And all our guides talk against, if you're going to say fall in love with somebody, how often we've fallen in love with somebody who was beautiful and found out that there was no real substance there, right. Or it's rare to find somebody who's externally and internally beautiful. And sometimes the greatest beauty is found in people who we don't think are beautiful in the traditional mold. Because what defines beauty? It is the beauty of the heart.
Yeah.
It's what you are inside, how kind you are, how giving and loving and considerate and caring, mm-hmm. and how wanting love.
Yes.
If you don't want love, then you won't get it. You have to realize that love is the greatest wealth we can have. Because what people don't understand is that if you want a relationship, you have to put in the work.
Yes.
I mean, we seem to think that things are just going to fall our way without any discipline on our part and without any self-searching on our part.
Right.
All of it takes effort and discipline. If you're devoted to love enough, and devoted to having a partner, and it's wonderful to have a partner when you have a good partner, because we are built for connection.
Right. Yes.
We are like beads. I always think of us like beads. We want to be threaded through with, with others. We want to be part of a necklace.
Beautiful. And was Rumi married? Do we know anything about his life, or maybe
he had 2 sons, so he must have been married.
He had 2 sons.
A lot of things about Rumi's history, as with any person from 800 years ago, the biographical details are sort of sketchy.
Right.
Yeah. But he says a lot about love. He says, at one point he says, when man and woman become one, mm-hmm. you are the one.
Oh, yes.
So the coupling of 2 people in love is God.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah. Relationships are problematic because I think that all of us think, first of all, that all our partners must be perfect, and they must be clones of us.
Right.
They must think like us. They must be like us, and they must. We don't factor in a difference, and we don't tolerate difference. And then we tend to have very high expectations, and we want to think that our relationship should be like it is in the movies.
Yeah, those romantic comedies really ruined it.
Yeah. Or every relationship has its conflict.
Oh, yes.
My husband and I have our conflict, but we resolved and committed because we like each other enough, and we love each other enough to work at it. Right. And to, occasionally even to take a therapeutic session, because you don't know whether you're on the right track here or not. To get a third opinion is always good. And, also what Rumi would say about this, I would think, is that you must realize that your journey through life is a solo journey.
Yeah.
even though you connect up with others, even if you have a loving partner, when you're sleeping and you have a nightmare, you're alone.
Right.
When you're sick and your partner is healthy and happy and going about doing his thing,
Yep.
you're alone. You're born alone, you die alone.
Yes.
The sooner you realize that, the better off you will be.
Yeah. But then we have our guides. We're not alone, so we can call in our spirit guides, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
And that's where you're not alone.
Right.
That and your connection to whatever you want to call it, Yahweh, Allah, Jesus, Muhammad, God, goddess, Gaia, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Something larger and bigger and all-inclusive. Something that you're in, like a fish is in the water.
Right. Right. Yeah. I love that.
You and is in you and is surrounding you. In love and in caring. I always, during my hard times, I always imagine God as a woman. And I'm suckling at her breast, and she's holding me. Or sometimes I'll imagine God. The imagination is a powerful tool we have, And I'll imagine being held by God the way my father held me when I was a child. Up against his chest, my arms around his neck, and just feeling secure. And feeling loved, feeling comforted and secure. Yeah. That's where we have to turn to, because Rumi says, "I speak nakedly. I do not wear a shirt when I sleep with a loved one."
Right.
With a loved one and the beloved, we can be totally naked. Because we will be accepted. We have a problem here with religions that tell us that you have to distance yourself from God. God is out there and up there,
right.
And God is authoritarian and patriarchal, and God tells you what to do, and you're, you don't have freedom, blah, blah, blah. But in the Eastern tradition, this powerful energy is as longing for our love as we are longing for its love. It's totally and utterly mutual. And the spirit guides, of course, like you mentioned, are here to show us the path to that. Because all our spirit guides point at that. They are reflected. They are the stars through which the sun is shining.
Oh, beautiful, yes.
They are our true stars.
Right.
Our spirit guides, because they reflect and throw off and give us beautiful words that we can put in our ears and in our minds and in our hearts, and they hold us by our hand and they walk us through the difficulties of life, and life is difficult.
Yes.
Life can be difficult, but I think, and the other message that Rumi gives very clearly is that all our suffering and all our problems are portals into another dimension. Suffering can make us bitter or it can make us better.
Right. Oh, okay. I like that. Bitter or better? I choose better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you share with us, before we go, your favorite Rumi story and what it means to you?
I have so many favorite stories, but let me tell you one.
Okay.
That I can think of right now. There's this guy who's really into making money. We were talking about people who are so caught up with what they do that they don't see that there's more to life than just their narrow little vision. Most of us go through life blinkered. Our goal of success, our goal of money. So this guy's into money, and he goes to Moses. And by the way, Rumi has stories. The spirit guides. He has stories about Jesus. He has stories about Moses. He is from the Jewish tradition, from the Islamic Sufi tradition, from the Christian tradition. So this fellow goes to Moses and he says, and he's come up with a scheme, and he says, "Oh, Moses," he pleads with Moses, "let me understand the speech of animals." So, because he thinks if I understand the speech of animals, how much money I can make, how much, so and Moses is very tired of him because he's pestering Moses for years and years. So Moses finally says, "Go ahead. Okay, you've got this miracle, but don't come to me when you find yourself in trouble." This guy doesn't care about trouble. He's only thinking about money, making money. So he wakes up the next morning and he finds that his rooster and his dog are quarreling, and the dog is quarreling because the maid doesn't like him and doesn't feed him very well, and feeds the rooster very well. And the dog says, "You eat up all the crumbs and you don't leave anything for me." So the rooster says to the dog, he says, "Don't worry," he says, "our master's horse is going to die today, and his really favorite horse is going to die today. And then, of course, you can eat your fill of horse meat." So the master hears this, and he's terrified, and he's his favorite horse, and he suddenly comes up with a scheme. He's going to ride his horse to the market and sell it off before it dies. And he does it, and he whips the horse and gets him to the marketplace in time and sells him off for twice the amount of money he bought him for. Well, the dog is very angry with the rooster. He says, "Now you said I could have dog meat, now you got." So the rooster says, and of course the master is listening to all the words. The rooster said, "Don't worry." He says, "Tomorrow his mule is going to die." So the same thing happens. The master does the same thing. And he's very happy. He's making more money. He made more money from the mule. And then, of course, the same thing happens with his slave. And he says, tomorrow his slave is going to die. So he goes off and, sells the slave. And by this time, the dog is hopping mad and ready to eat the rooster. And the rooster says, "Okay, don't worry. Because tomorrow our master is going to die." So let him go sell himself.
Yeah.
And of course, what the rooster knows comes to pass. And the master is terribly disordered, runs to Moses, and Moses says, "Don't come to me. There are things in life that are much more important than money. Mm-hmm. And one of the most important things in life is to keep in mind our own death.
Yes.
All our troubles arise when we think we're going to live forever."
Mm-hmm. Right.
We live a better life when we remember death.
Right.
That's another one of Rumi's great messages. Mm-hmm. And there's so many stories. That's another chapter in my first book. It's called Embrace Death.
Oh, wow. Yes, yeah.
When you embrace death, what you get is life. I don't know. I think when I hear of people who've died that, I'm glad it's him or her, I always remember, and not me, because life is like a lottery.
Right.
For every person that dies, we survive.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And life is sacrificed that way. When we die, it'll be a sacrifice. We'll be dying for somebody else who will live. Mm-hmm. So I try to, whenever I'm feeling really dreadful or sick or unwell, I just tell myself, time to die. So I lie down on a mat, in the shavasana, which is the corpse position.
Yeah.
And very soon I embrace death, and very soon I fall asleep. And I wake up fine.
Oh, yeah. I love that. You just fall asleep, have the healing energies, and you come back vibrant.
Yes, that's right.
Well, Kamla, thank you so much for spending time with us. And all of her links are below. You can get the book and connect with her. Thank you so much. This has been so magical.
Thank you, Marla. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And my website, by the way, is kamlakapur.com.
That's flashing up on the screen, so everybody can connect with you there. And much love, everyone.